This guy is going to hit his head against the basketball rim. Oh. And he's going to teach us hockey players how to use proper plyometrics. Connor is one of the highest jumpers on the planet, but he wasn't always this way. The reason I'm collaborating with a basketball player is because I've been seeing this bad trend with hockey training.
Many hockey programs have these speed and explosive routines, but don't produce the results as intended.
Which shows up with trainers prescribing jumping drills that are way too complicated. The work you put in has to produce the results intended by that work. So if you're doing drills, exercises, or programs that are supposed to get you faster, jump higher, be a more explosive athlete, and you have not had those measurable results, then this video is for you.
Too many hockey players do too many plyometric drills. With the amount of work that they do, they should all be able to jump as high as I do.
But guess what? They don't.
You've both been mentored by one of the best athletic transformation coaches on the planet. We let the results speak for themselves.
We're here to show you exactly what you need for your hockey run and jump routine. All right, Connor, I want to jump as high as you. How do we do that?
So it's actually quite simple. Rather than doing all these crazy plyometric drills, we're going to work on the simple things like jumping and then absorbing the jump heights that we're able to produce to optimize our pain-free ability and strength and technique required to jump higher.
Perfect, perfect. What's one of your first drills that you go into for that?
I think one of the first drills, a lot of people immediately can improve their jump ability by focusing on their jump technique. Doing this alone, it's going to help you feel more comfortable in your jump and figure out the right pattern that you need to use before you jump as high as you can.
Awesome.
So the first drill I like to use is called the push-punch drill, which I've actually learned from a separate jump mentor. Essentially, we're working on the penultimate step or the last step that you do right before you jump. This is going to help you hone in on that technique, and it's going to help you build balance between your separate jump plants, which will build pain-free ability and reduce the risk of injury when you jump. So we're going to start with 1 foot forward. We're going to push off this right foot that I have forward. We're then going to plant with the left foot, and then we're going to punch into the ground, which is why it's called the push-punch drill. So it's push, punch, and then you jump. And you could do that multiple times per plant. Ideally, you're going to want to work on both plants as well. So last time we had the right foot forward. This time we're going to have the left foot forward and do the same thing with pushing and punching off the left foot. So it's like push, punch, jump, and then land. So that's my favorite jump drill to work on the technique and also build the strength that you need for a jump.
So you mentioned there are different plants. How many plants are there for like jumping that maybe you commonly do or that are in like some other sports as well?
So there are 4 total jump plants. Depending on your sport, the ones you use might be different. For someone like a volleyball player, they might only use 2 jump plants. They're left-right plant and right-left plant, which are 2-footed jumps. For someone in track who's maybe a triple jumper, it's only like a 1-footed jump plant. So you'd work on jumping off your right foot as well as jumping off your left foot. Ideally, you want to be strong at all 4 if you're in a sport where jumping is unpredictable. But if you're really just trying to get your maximum vertical and jump as high as you can, I think at the very least, you should work on your mirroring plants. So if you're working on your 2-foot jumps, left, right, right, left, or if you're working on your 1-foot jumps, left foot and right foot.
So basically, if we put this into the context of hockey, when we're trying to balance everything out, we want to be strong in all 4 of those types of jumps. So you got left, right, right, left, and then 1 foot.
Yep.
And then
the other single
right foot. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Definitely what I've noticed is my stronger area when I've tried this out is definitely left, right. That's where I end up jumping the highest out of all the plants that I've tried out. But you're called jump balance for a reason. And you're able to jump just as high off of all 4 areas, which I would assume is why you're also able to jump 50 inches constantly too. Would you say that's a contributing factor to it? Like that structural jump balance, you could say?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as you know, they're like, you don't want to have any weak links. Like your weakest link is going to be holding you back. This same thing applies for jumping as well. If you're weak in a certain jump plant, you're just not going to be as strong in your best plant. Of course, working on your best jump plant is going to help you jump higher, but really, how much are you holding yourself back by not working on the other jump plants?
Exactly.
So there's always room for growth, and this is a philosophy I learned recently, within the last 5 years, when I mean recently, but it helped me drastically improve my vertical. I went from like mid 30 inches to like high 40s, even like really close to low 50s. So it's definitely a factor that I think if you want to really get past a plateau in your jumping, or even just get it better and become more pain-free, it's something you need to work on.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Why don't we hit into some of the regressions for that would end up helping that out too. So you were mentioning depth jumps, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think if you do have a mobility box, this would work perfect for someone. What you're going to want to do is set this up at a height that you can jump from, or even a little bit higher, and then just work on the landing. So we're going to be dropping from here. We're not going to be jumping. We're going to be dropping from here and then working on the landing. What this is doing is it's allowing our bodies to work on absorbing the height that we're jumping from without doing the jumping itself. So it's almost like eccentric training for jumping. And then depending on how high you can jump, you could do this at like much higher boxes. But even working at lower boxes, you're still going to get stronger from working on this. It's just natural that the more comfortable you are absorbing your jump, the higher you'll be able to jump pain-free, because you can absorb that jump height. So I say you could do this, take breaks in between your jumps, maybe like 5 times, do it 5 times, and just progress from there, see how it feels. It's going to feel a little bit different at first, because a lot of the times we're not used to just landing from a high height. What's cool about this too is, even if you can't, let's say I want to do a depth drop from 60 inches. Of course I cannot jump 60 inches, but if I have that bulletproofing reserve where I can land from that height, I'll almost never get injured when I land from a jump. So that's another benefit from this drill, which I really like. And yeah,
As you can see, I'm not as springy as this guy is too. And we'll get into that a little bit later as well. But this is a very good starting point for anyone as well. Yeah, just all the great points like he said.
We'll do 1 or 2 more of these, and then I'll give another drill as
so
well.
you'd say like this is a good starting point, maybe like 5 reps or so to get it going.
And then for the video's sake, we're going quite quickly. You're obviously going to want to take a little bit of break between jumps. And then you could adjust, like I said, if you have a mobility box like this, it's great because you can measurably tell how high you're jumping from. But you can also just use like typical boxes, or like like something sturdy. You're not going to want to go on something like unsturdy. Don't want anyone getting hurt.
I made that mistake before, yeah.
But if you have like a sturdy object you can use, or like a stair, like, I don't know, something that has height.
Safe.
Something that has height and is safe. Amazing way to improve your ability to absorb the jumping that we're doing. Really, those are the main 2, but I was thinking 2 up, 1 down jumps are really good.
Yeah. Why don't we just present them?
Yeah.
That'll be okay.
Because that's pretty much going to be doing like this. It's like the balance of single leg then at that point.
Yeah. That's without a doubt. We could show those in addition to.
And then after that too, I would, like, if you want to, like, even before the ability to jump, just working on forwards and backwards sprints.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be part of the routine too.
Yeah.
So we could detail that out a little bit. So what would you do? You would do like maybe either forward or backward sprints first, or where would you put that in?
I like doing
before the jumps.
So like for me myself, like this is how I would warm up with a routine. I would start with I would start with backwards sprints. Do that till I feel comfortable. Do a little bit of forward sprints, or like just very light sled pushing, but maximally like pushing as hard as I can, just so I can get really warm. From there, I'll do something like the push-punch drill that we did, building up to a pretty high percent. And then once it's getting close to 100%, maybe work on really high depth drops or 2 up, 1 down jumps, which I can show you now.
Yeah, just show that right now.
So a 2 up, 1 down jump is we'll be doing a standing vertical jump, jumping off of 2 feet, and then landing off of one of the feet, and then rebounding back up. Essentially, this is doing the same thing that we were doing with the depth drops. It's helping us absorb a landing from a height we can't naturally produce off of 1 foot. So it's going to help even more so build balance from leg to leg. So it would look like this. You do a standing vertical jump, land off of 1 foot, and then you would jump again. Obviously, you would do that all in one motion. You wouldn't pause like I did. So in like a live action, it would look like jump, land, jump again, and then land. This one, even more so, you want to take longer breaks between sides because we're doing that jumping aspect as well in between as well. So I'd say, even right now I'm a little bit tired, but I'd say rest is so key here. because we're trying to go for something that I see a lot of people do, which I think will be important for the people watching. They do a lot of jumps, but they never do it maximally intent because
that's a common problem with hockey players.
Yeah.
Is that it's not with any maximum intent. And it's the same reason that we said at the beginning of here that what you're doing, the work that you're putting in, it should produce the results of actually, you know, jumping higher, actually getting more explosive, actually getting faster. So there's a time and place to give yourself some rest and you know, let the central nervous system reset itself, because this is very draining on your central nervous system, the same way that lifting a lot of weights is very draining. It's basically the same rest time that you need for it. So yeah, that's what you would do when you're trying to go. If you're trying to get a hard workout, then you would do everything like all together to give yourself a good sweat. But if you're doing specific strength training, specific speed, specific explosive ability and jumping ability, trying to jump higher, like all of that, which, you know, so many hockey coaches say it translates to on-ice performance. There's a point to that, obviously, and I do believe that it does work to an extent. There's some nuances here and there because, like, you know, skating doesn't have the same surface area, things slip around all the time, but it does help with horizontal ability, which is why I do think that when you get that total structural jump balance, that we'll call it, that's where the entire explosive ability comes from. So why don't we go through like an entire like sample routine, that way we can give people at home watching this. And by the way, you recommend once a week, right, for working on all this?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that's been really helpful for me too. Like I was, I don't want to use the word because it's, my channel is monetized, but one of the guys we get coached by, his name's also Ben, but it's a different Ben. He calls the original mentor, Charles Poliquin, he called it hockey players. Like,
if you know Charles Poliquin, you know what we're talking about.
Intense. Yeah, very intense. But you'll know what we're referring to. Anyway, so would you start with the sled at all, or any type of resistance?
Do sled work. What I'll say about that is, obviously you don't want to fatigue yourself too much here. This is still like, I'll say this, if you're not ready to jump, you can definitely go harder on the sled or the backwards running. But if you're at a point where you want to focus on the jumping maximally pain-free, you're going to use the other movements more as like a warm-up.
Gotcha. Okay.
So let's just say, for example,
just go through that then. Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, like you weren't able to jump pain-free. We could go full out on the backwards sprints.
Yeah.
But for the sake of this video and that you're ready to jump pain-free, we're going to go through like essentially what I would do when I'm trying to jump maximally pain-free. So I would usually start with backwards sprints. If you have more available turf or room, that'd be better. So I tend to like to do like 4 or 5 trips of this length. It ends up being close to like a total of 100 yards. So if you're at a football field, just go like to half field and back, and you should be pretty warm to go on to the next step. Yeah. And what I try and do is I really try and drive my feet back and push through each step. So it's like really getting us warm right before the jumps. And we're also like working on explosiveness, but it's a lot safer because we're only working on going backwards. And then what I like with these a lot too, and what I think might help you as well, Mason, for these, it's good. Like short, choppy steps, I think are good. Like if you're a defender in sports or something. So like I'm not to say what you did was wrong.
Okay.
But like I really like to really extend and go far in my steps.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to preface this, everyone has their preference. Like what feels comfortable for you might be different from me. But I really like to, rather than like short, choppy, I really like to put a ton of force in my steps.
Got it, okay.
And jump back as far as I can.
I think there's benefit to trying out both, even if you're uncomfortable with it.
Absolutely.
So it's like, kind of like that, but quicker.
Yeah, and like, I find it more helpful. Like, you might not want to necessarily be so upright. You're going to like be a little bit more forward,
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. So.
Yep, perfect.
I see it, yeah.
It's like.
Got it, okay.
Like you're really trying to extend far back between each step.
Okay, got it. Cool.
And like you mentioned too, try out both. because you might feel one feels more comfortable for you than the other. And if the goal is really just to get warm and feel more explosive. So there's no right or wrong there. We finished the backwards sprinting.
How many rounds would you do that for? Maybe like
That's a good question.
like 2 to 3 probably as a warm up.
Yeah, 2 to 3. It really depends on the length that you're running, because obviously we have a short turf, so you might need like 4 or 5. But if you're at a football field, or let's say you're on a basketball court, or
maybe like 3 to 5 rounds of 30 to 50 yards.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
And
then this will be the same thing for the forward.
Yeah, you do the same thing for the forward sprint. This is more closely going to mimic like the motions that we're in before a jump. Obviously, we're not jumping, running backwards. So forward sprinting is the next step in the progression for jumping. And then same thing, probably like 2 to 3 rounds, 30 to 50 yards. I would say if you're trying to jump, don't go exactly 100%, maybe like 70, 80%, because we're not trying to fatigue ourselves too quickly.
That makes a lot of sense.
We're starting to get warm. Same thing with the backwards running.
Yeah, gotcha.
That being said, though, if you're not at the point where you're necessarily ready to jump, this could be the part where you go full out 100%. Because even if you aren't jumping, these movements are still going to build that fast twitch strength and ability to improve your ability to jump.
Gotcha.
So
let's do it then.
I kind of like to start in the same position as that push punch drill I did. So I'll start
that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Because that's also going to just help you work on like exploding out of that step.
Yeah.
So I would do that. I'd like explode.
Gotcha.
And then just like run for as much as much space as you have.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, I didn't practice it enough.
Nice.
Oh, don't want to run into that.
If you have a short turf like we do too, it really strengthens the decelerators as well.
It does, yeah.
Which is actually kind of funny, because deceleration is such a hidden gem in jumping. If you can't decelerate, you're totally screwed up.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt yourself. If you have that, it's like all like a math equation. Yeah. If in jumping, you're able to produce that force, but not absorb it, which is why we did those depth drops as well. If when you jump, your ankles or shins aren't strong enough to handle that force, you're inevitably going to get injured if you do that too many times.
You can only go as fast as you can safely slow down. And that's the same principle with like other exercises too, like external rotation compared to pressing, or even like training deliberately reverse step ups.
Yeah.
That train like the deceleration for that need to be stable. That way, when you do get into awkward positions, you're
absolutely
A-okay.
And I'm sure in your book, you probably mentioned all these exercises as well.
Yeah.
But just know, doing these is amazing. Yes. It's going to bring you to that next level, but that doesn't mean you cannot do the other exercises. 100%. Or it doesn't mean you shouldn't do the other exercises.
Yeah.
Like they're encouraged, so you are able to do this pain-free.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to start on the other plant when I do it. Yeah.
Smart. I'll do that too. So we're just in our position.
Yeah.
And then we run. And then comfortably decelerate.
Yeah. You said to go only like 80 or 70%. I went like all out.
Yeah, I know.
On this one. Yeah, it's just my habit.
Fuck it. And there's nothing wrong with that as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you're able to do that and still rest, get warm, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be really warm right before you jump. So if you're doing that, that's amazing. So after we do the forward sprints, this is the part where we're starting to get into the jump technique, which is where that push punch drill that I mentioned is going to come in handy. And we're going to start very lightly here, focusing on the technique more so than like the strength and power that we produce into our jumps. This is going to help us just get more warm before we get to our max effort jumps. And it's going to allow you to focus on the technique and not worry about jumping as high as you can. So same thing, we're going to work on both plants, but we're going to build up from like 20% to like 60, 70%. Once we get to that part, we're going to jump as high as we can. So we're going to be in this position still, and then just focus on like very light jumps. We're not trying to like break any records here. We're just trying to get warm still and focus on that technique.
Right here. And then when you step forward, it's right, left when I do it that way, right?
Exactly,
okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's my bad side. I want to get a few reps on that way.
Perfect. Nice.
Do like 3 on each side. That could be a little better. All right, other side. Now, you wouldn't recommend this quick, right?
Correct, yeah. Like, you're going like, I would recommend, even with this low of like a percentage of effort, I'd still wait like maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of intent involved. Like, this is a very mentally taxing exercise So you want to just be 100% like there when you're doing it.
Got it.
That's not to say you can't like progress quickly, but just make sure you're not too fatigued before each jump.
Right. I'll just do 3 anyway. That'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, for the sake of this video, that's totally fine.
Good.
Nice.
So that's what you would do with 2-foot jumps is having the foot that's going first behind you. So because I'm facing this way, right would go first, and then
that's right.
That way would be left going first. What would you do for the 1-foots when you're doing it?
So for the 1-foot, it's the opposite. Let's say I'm wanting to jump off of my right foot, this one here, it's actually going to be first.
Got it.
And we're going to, it's a lot quicker than the 2 steps. So it's going to be, I'm pushing off this foot, I'm like 1, 2, and then I jump. So it's very quick. And as you noticed, as you probably saw, I went a lot more further horizontally. It's going to be a lot more diagonal of a jump than vertical like the push-punch drill. With the push-punch, you're going forward, up. With the 1-foot jump, it's going to be more of a diagonal angle that you're going at. Gotcha. And each have their place. And I'm sure, I'm not a hockey player myself, but I'm sure in the sport, they each have their place.
I think they would have, they would really enjoy that 1-foot thing. So I'm going to try a few reps that way. But again, like we said a little bit ago, we want that jump balance. So you want to be able to do all 4. It's not just about, it's sport specific to stride off of 1 foot. So we want to be able to only, jump off the 1 leg. No, that's not how it is. You want the structural jump balance. The same way that you have structural balance for weightlifting, you want structural balance for your jumping. This is why it covers all 4
of those. And I think as well, I'm not saying you don't have to do this exercise, but I am thinking if you do the 2 up, 1 down jumps as well, that alone is going to put you in such a good spot. This is more like it's more of a sport specific movement doing the running. But if you do 2 up, 1 down and the depth drops that we do, plus these 4 jump plants, there is absolutely no reason you will not jump higher. Like that's all I did. Yeah. Literally, that's all I did. Nothing else. Gotcha. And it worked really well for me.
All right, let me get a few reps on the single leg. I can never tell which one's my bad side with both of these, but okay, you might have to bring it up because I'm going to be moving.
Yeah.
All right, so foot that's in front is the one that I
jump off of.
Yeah, I'll give myself a little more room.
Yep, just like that. Okay. And I would recommend try be really light on your feet here too.
Okay. So not like a
FUD, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You're almost going to be on like the ball of your foot.
Oh, okay, so kind of like.
Like you're still going to do a little bit of heel toe, but you're jumping off. You're jumping off the ball of your foot.
Okay, gotcha.
That's better.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously
where I was going. Yeah.
Obviously, you want to be somewhere where you have a lot of space.
Careful. Yeah.
Because this is like Mason and I mentioned a drill where you're going to be going a lot, like you're covering a lot more ground. You're not just doing your 2 steps and jumping up high. You're going to be going forward,
both horizontal and upward. Right on. Okay, what would you do? So you're warming up with all 4 plants. And then what would you do after that?
At that point, so we did the backwards running, did the forwards, did the jump plants, might have thrown in depth drops and depth jumps. After that, you're at a point where you could work on max effort jumps. So it's the push-punch drill that we did, plus an approach, leading up to that. This is something, it will definitely be a bit more challenging for athletes at first if they aren't used to jump technique. It even was really difficult for me. Before I had jump balance, this was super tedious and hard for me to do. But with reps, consistency, and practicing it, getting coached by someone like Mason or another jump coach, it's going to help out a ton. So
You're my jump coach. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But with a full approach jump, you can mentally. So this is what I would do if you're starting out. Think in your head do a couple steps, and think about the foot that you're going to plant with before you do that plant. It's going to help you know okay, this is when I'm going to do that drill that we worked on. So I'm thinking I'm going to do 3 steps. When I plant this foot, I'm going to push off of it and then do my jump. So I'm going to a little warm up into it, then punch, and then jump.
Jesus.
Yeah. So you'll be working on that. And like I said, That's something that's it's just going to take time. I don't know anyone that's going to not have practiced this and perfectly execute, just like pushing into a jump at their own will. So,
all right, my turn.
Yeah.
Coach Connor is going to help me out here.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do right, left.
Yeah.
Right, left first. So you go like this.
Nice. Not bad. And then what I want you to work on too, that was a very fast penultimate step. I'm going to want you to create a little bit more distance.
Okay.
So you did it very quick, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but don't have that limit the distance you're able to produce before you jump.
Yeah.
You want to have a pretty long penultimate step.
Oh, okay. Let me do that side again.
Yeah. Not bad.
Okay.
And then as you get more comfortable, those approach steps, they're going to be quicker and like faster as well.
Yeah, like kind of like that. Give me probably another 10 seconds and I'll try it. Yeah. Next up, we're doing left, right.
Mm-hmm. Is that your best jump?
That's my best jump.
I was gonna say that looks good.
Yeah. How's my extension, by the way? Like
it's looking good, like triple extension.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'll mention that.
I struggle a lot with like this part, and I think most hockey players do because we're always like this, like really tight hip flexors, tight groin, all that tight back. Mm-hmm. Tilting it this way and getting the everything to tilt this way. Mm-hmm. I don't call it glutes firing. I don't think it's that. I think it's something else, rather than like actual hip extension and ankle and knee. That's what I've struggled with for a while, not just with Olympic lifts, but also with this stuff too. So we got 2 more plants to go. So that's
with single foot. I'll show with single foot. It's a little bit more.
You show it, yeah.
Yeah, with single foot, it's pretty much the same thing. You're gonna just get a little like approach, and then like really focus on like pushing through your last 2 steps. So it's going to be slow at first because this is the part where we're not just doing the penultimate step, we're working on the approach as well. So you could do like a slow approach and then like focus on like really exploding in those last 2 steps. Okay. Those last 2 steps, it's more so going to be similar to that first jump you did where it's like really quick, push, punch. The last 2 steps of a single foot jump are going to be quicker, I'd say.
Gotcha.
Not as long, but faster.
Got it. All right, my turn. Mm-hmm. We're going to do it off my left first.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Little break. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we said, we wouldn't be doing this as quickly. It would be like a little bit.
You would be giving yourself maybe a minute rest.
A minute, okay.
Like 45 seconds to a minute.
Wow. Yeah.
And we're also doing way more jumps than typically what I'd recommend as well. Like, not way more, but what I would recommend per training session, maybe 5 jumps per plant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I would, if you're trying to work on jump balance, alternate weeks. So let's say this weekend, you work on both your 2-foot plants. Oh. The following weekend, work on both your 1-foot plants.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I'm at a point where I just do all 4 in one session. But that's
you're
something,
building it up, you meant.
Yeah, that's something you build up to.
Yeah, because I was doing them all together for a long time.
And like, if you have the strength for that, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
For you, I think it's going to work just because you are balanced enough to where you won't hurt yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I can keep doing basically all of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool. All right, right foot. That one didn't feel as good. I think the penultimate step wasn't as good.
It's going to be, like I said too, don't focus on how far those steps are. It's different from the penultimate 2-foot jump. You're going to want the steps to be quicker.
Okay.
So like those last 2 steps are almost going to be like boom. Yeah.
Okay.
Just picture yourself trying to jump as far as you can.
Okay.
You're not going to focus on like, oh, this step has to be further than the other one.
Right.
You're just trying. That's what we want to get to the point of doing. Just focusing on jumping as far as you can.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Woo! I think that was definitely better.
Yeah.
And then superset with some sprint. Superset with some sprints.
Yeah. All-out sprints are definitely an option too that you could do. But.
So yeah, like what Mason and I mentioned as well, it really doesn't matter what your starting point's at. You can always start with backward sprinting, forward sprinting. depth drops, or just working on the technique of your penultimate step, if you do this consistently with the intent of wanting to jump higher, doing these simple things, you do not need to add anything extra in there. It might actually make it harder for you to improve if you do too much.
Yeah, doing too much.
It's the intent over the volume. Obviously, we want to build up consistency behind these. The more reps you get, the better you will get at these.
Over time.
Exactly, over time. So like that, when I say that, like week by week by week, you're not doing 100 jumps in one day and not doing anything the rest of the month.
You don't really need it to. I think it just makes you slow down, honestly, rather than like what we were saying the whole time, intent, intent, intent. What is the result that you're looking for in a specific area? Just, you know, if you want to get faster, make sure that your numbers measurably are going up instead of having a 16-second maybe lap time. Maybe it's down to 14, maybe it's down to 13, maybe it's down to 12, which is actually pretty crazy for hockey now I think about it. But if your vertical is also not getting as high from the amount of volume that you're doing, you need to change up your training. So make sure you're evaluating all these as you're going through it. Like say, if you're not signed up with my program, then like if you're with some other trainers, like again, I prefer you be in my program, of course, but you got to make sure that you're getting the results that you're intending to get. So if you're not jumping as high, if your vertical doesn't increase, that's a sign that you're not getting the explosive ability that was advertised or that was like promoted. So you always want to make sure that everything aligns up. Yeah, this is an amazing video, man. Really appreciate you helping me out with this. Yeah. Hope we connect really soon. HEG Buddies Gym is effing amazing. I love it here. So yeah, we'll do a bunch of collabs in the future, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And it goes to show, like, hey, hockey players can get along with basketball players too.
Yeah, we're not enemies.
No, not at all. We don't have to call them wusses just because, oh, I got a calf cramp. Like, oh, they don't play through injuries and anything like that. It's like, yeah, but hockey players are like, they take it too far the other way.
I think it goes to show as well, your training, obviously you're designed for hockey athletes.
Yeah.
Whoever does your program is going to get better.
100%.
No matter what, no matter what their sport is. They could be playing tennis, hockey, football, basketball. They're going to get more athletic and better by just doing these exercises.
Yes.
And then focusing on the simple things. Like if it's jumping, work on jumping, sprinting, work on sprinting. That's never going to change. If you want to get better at those things, do those. And the weight room work that Mason has, it's going to help follow with that. Absolutely.
Cool. Much love. See you all next time.
Sick video.
Yeah, it was.
That was fun.